You've played Pokémon. You've caught the cute ones, battled the strong ones. But what if I told you the world of Pokémon hides something much darker? Buried in old games, obscure Pokédex entries, and even Japanese myths are stories that sound less like a kid's game and more like ancient horror. Tonight, we're going to uncover the forbidden Pokémon lore that Nintendo doesn't like to talk about. For starters, the whole world of Pokémon seems to exist based on some deeply disturbing myths. Long before there were trainers and Pokéballs, before the world looked anything like it does today. Pokémon mythology tells us the universe was born from a single egg. From it emerged Arceus, the so-called original one. According to the Sinner legends, Arceus shaped time, space, and even the fabric of reality itself, by creating the legendary trio, Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina. But here's the strange part. Unlike Dialga and Palkia, who represent time and space, Giratina represents antimatter, distortion, and death itself. In other words, death and decay were baked into the universe from the very beginning. And this is where the Pokémon world starts to sound less like a children's game and more like something pulled straight from ancient mythology. But let's keep going. The truth is, some of the darkest lore in Pokémon is hidden right in the games themselves. If you've ever read through Pokédex entries, you'll know the Pokémon world isn't always so cute and friendly. Take Drifloon, for example. It looks like an innocent balloon, but its Pokédex entry reveals it tries to lure children away, dragging them to who knows where. Suddenly, it's no longer a Pokémon that's just a little creepy. It's a supernatural threat, and that's not even the worst of it. Then there's Yamask. On the surface, it's just another ghost type. But according to the lore, Yamask actually carries a mask that represents its face from when it was human. It remembers its past life. It mourns. It cries. That means humans can literally become Pokémon after death. And that leads to some truly disturbing questions. Are humans just temporarily gone or permanently trapped? Did Yamask willingly give up its humanity or suffer a terrible curse? How many humans became Pokémon after dying? And why did Nintendo include such a dark concept in a children's game? And who could forget Cubone? Known as the Lonely, it wears the skull of its dead mother. That's not fan fiction. That's Nintendo's own description. The lore around Cubone is so tragic that fans still speculate it's linked to missing Pokémon like Kangaskhan. Just imagine the heartbreak of losing your child only to find their skull years later, unable to move on due to your overwhelming grief. This raises the real question. Were these just edgy stories slipped in by the developers, or are they hints at something much darker lurking in the Pokémon world? As we keep digging deeper into Pokémon lore, we stumble upon even more terrifying truths. The legendary Pokémon are more than just powerful beasts. They embody true horrors from across the cosmos. Take Darkrai, a mythical Pokémon that literally feeds on nightmares. In the games, it's described as haunting people, trapping them in endless sleep. Imagine never waking up again, forever lost in your own worst fears. Then there's Yveltal, the destruction Pokémon. Its legend says when it spreads its wings, it drains the life force of every living creature around it, and when it dies, it absorbs the energy of all things nearby before turning into a cocoon. A literal cycle of death written into its biology. But let's keep going. Of course, we have to talk about Giratina, banished by Arceus to another dimension, the distortion world. It's said to lurk there, watching our world silently, waiting for the chance to return. Giratina isn't just a boss battle. It's the embodiment of cosmic punishment. Now, you might be thinking this is just a kid's game. Why am I overthinking it? Well, consider this. What if the darkness in Pokémon wasn't just random ideas thrown in for shock value? What if it was intentional, carefully woven into the games to connect to real-world myths and legends? After all, Yamask mirrors Japanese folklore about spirits called onryo, vengeful ghosts who carry objects from their past life. That explains the mask it clings to and why it remembers being human. And remember, in old Japanese stories, spirits often disguised themselves as harmless objects, only to reveal their true, terrifying form later. Just like Drifloon, which feels eerily similar to tales of yokai, supernatural creatures that steal children. The Pokémon world is actually surprisingly grounded in history. In fact, many Pokémon are based on figures from Japanese mythology. Darkrai resembles the Baku, a dream-eating spirit that can devour nightmares or entire minds. Pokémon may look like just a game on the surface, but its roots dig deep into ancient legends, some of them centuries old. And that's why the darker side of Pokémon feels so believable. Because it is. So now we have a children's game that secretly borrows from some of the creepiest legends in Japanese history, which begs the question, how much of Pokémon's dark side was intentional? Was this all just planned from the beginning? And if so, what kind of secrets are hidden in plain sight? Well, the truth is some of the darkest Pokémon remain shrouded in mystery. Take the legendary Who. It's depicted as a majestic rainbow bird, but its Pokédex entry reads like a funeral. It's said to appear only when people lose their way. So is it a harbinger of doom? Does it only appear after tragedy? Why would a mythical Pokémon have such a bleak connection to loss? Then there's the case of the evolutions. As we all know, Eevee can evolve into 8 different types. But what do all those evolutions represent? When you think about it, each one mirrors a different aspect of the human psyche. Sylveon embodies cuteness and obsession. Flareon represents primal rage and power. Vaporeon taps into primal fear and the unknown depths. Jolteon symbolizes intelligence and electric energy. Espeon preys on psychic fear and mental manipulation. Umbreon thrives in darkness and the subconscious mind. Leafeon utilizes nature's nurturing yet suffocating embrace. Glaceon exploits icy detachment and emotional repression. Each evolution preys on a different aspect of our psyche. So what is Nintendo trying to tell us about the human mind? You see, when you dive into the deeper lore of Pokémon, it becomes clear there's more beneath the surface. But the truth is, Some mysteries run deeper than others. It's possible Nintendo intentionally wove dark themes and hidden messages into Pokémon lore as a social experiment. They knew kids would ask questions. Adults would play to find answers. And now we're uncovering their secrets. Imagine Nintendo wanted to understand how far we'd go to find meaning in a kid's game. How much they could hide before we noticed. Maybe they wanted to test our curiosity, our desire to make sense of patterns, even in fictional worlds. In doing so, they created one of the most unintentionally addictive rabbit holes in gaming history. What if it was all a coincidence? Just random ideas that fans latched onto because of their own interest in horror and mythology. After all, people love connecting dots and finding patterns, even when none exist. If you have enjoyed this deep dive into the dark Pokémon lore, please like and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for watching.